Why is ring culture so much more prevalent in the NBA than in other sports?
Yeah, it's funny, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the A-all, B-all of everything.
But you have to really play hard. Does that hurt you physically?
No, because when I play hard all the time. You know, there's no turn it on here, turn it off here. It's just 110% at all time.
Yeah, I'm 10, 12 years in, I got 4 MVPs and 4 championships. Like, but do I still want to do this shit? You know what I'm saying?
Because you know how hard it is.
Some people say, I want to go play baseball.
It's all about winning championships and winning.
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
You know, the fans are there to watch me play. I want to impress that guy way up on top who probably worked his ass off to get a ticket or to get money to buy the ticket.
You really cared about the guy who sat in the top deck at the Palace in Auburn Hills to watch you when you came to Detroit?
Yeah, because I know he's probably yelling at me and I want to shut him up. So if the guys are coming to watch me play, I don't want to miss that opportunity. Now, physically, if I can't do it, then I can't do it. But physically, if I can do it, and I just don't feel like doing it, that's a whole...
NBA legends finally broke their silence, and they're done staying polite. Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, and former teammates of Michael Jordan are speaking up, and it's getting loud fast. For years, these legends watched the league drift. They saw the respect fade. They saw competition soften. They saw players chase image, attention, and applause instead of pure basketball. And for a long time, they let it slide until now. Because Kevin Durant and LeBron James crossed a line they can't walk back from. They sat on a podcast, laughed, joked, and took shots at Michael Jordan's legacy, and that was the breaking point. You don't mock the standard, you don't joke about the blueprint, and you definitely don't downplay the greatest to ever do it. That moment flipped a switch. This isn't casual criticism anymore, and this is a full-on teardown. The legends are calling out the insecurity, the fake edge, the constant need for praise, and the lack of respect for the game that built everything these guys have. Stacey King knows exactly what real greatness looks like. He won 3 championships playing next to Michael Jordan in Chicago. He lived it. So when Durant and LeBron laughed about Jordan's baseball break on that podcast, King had heard enough.
LeBron and KD and Steve Nash did their little podcast thing, and they always drag the legacy of Michael Jordan.
What is it called? Was it Cryia River?
Cryia River, I think.
Cryia River podcast? Oh, my God. I tell you what, man, listen. I was watching
Revisionist history, they should call it.
Yeah, you know what, Mark? Great players don't have to tell people they're great.
Yeah, that's true.
You let fans do that. You let people debate it on talk radio and podcasts. You know, players don't have to do that. You know, we all know you're great. You don't have to tell us. You know, when you have to go around trumpeting that you're great and what separates you from all the other people that makes you greater than them, that's a problem. You know, that's a problem. That's why I say it's a Cryia River podcast, because you're crying and moaning about what they said. And they were kind of sneak dissing MJ. If you really listen between the lines, you know, they were talking about, Kevin Durant was talking about how longevity is more important than rings and all that other stuff. Being in the league basically for 20 plus years shows the dedication and the hard work that you had to do to stay here. But he failed to mention, you know, the load management and this guy only playing in no more than 3 times in his career, you know, 82 games in a season.
Yeah, right.
LeBron's only played 1 time, 82 games in a season. MJ, 9 times in his career played 82 games, plus the playoffs and championships that goes into 115 games. So to listen to these guys discredit the former players and how great they were to you know, basically step on top of them to get themselves higher is real.
He didn't tiptoe. He didn't soften it. He went straight for the throat. King mocked LeBron's show, sarcastically renaming it the Cryia River podcast, and blasted both of them for always needing to explain how great they are. No mystery, no restraint, just facts. Then he dropped the line that hit hardest. Great players don't need to announce they're great. Fans do that. Media debates that. History decides that. The moment you start reminding people why you're special, something's off. That's insecurity talking, not confidence. And King was right. You know who never had a podcast defending his legacy? Michael Jordan. You know who never needed comparisons or explanations? Michael Jordan. Because when you're really that guy, the game speaks, the banners speak, the rings speak, But King wasn't finished. He doubled down, saying the whole thing sounds like complaining, crying about criticism instead of embracing it. That's what this really is.
You're going to make $50, $60 million a year and just say, hey, you know what? I'm only going to play 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4. At some point, the fan going to be saying, wait a minute, you're charging me this much for tickets. Why in the world should I care if they don't?
Durant and LeBron don't sound confident. They sound nervous. They're trying to sell longevity over dominance, years played over moments owned, comfort over pressure, careful planning over showing up every night no matter what. And to the old guard, that's not greatness. That's avoiding the fire. King didn't stop there. He exposed the biggest hypocrisy in the whole conversation. On that podcast, Durant was pushing the idea that longevity matters more than championships, that playing 20-plus years proves commitment, dedication, hard work. Sounds nice? Until you look at the facts. Kevin Durant has played all 82 games only 3 times in his entire career. 3 times. That's nearly 2 decades in the league. LeBron James, he's done it once. 1 time in over 20 years. Yet these are the same guys lecturing everyone about durability and commitment while missing games regularly.
What's happened to the rivalries in today's game? Like, I mean,
they don't hate each other.
That's
they don't like. See, I hated Larry and every Celtic. I really don't like you, but you my little brother. Now I love you because you out of that green and white. That's what it was, right? You. The Celtics, Lakers hate each other, disliked each other. So it made for great TV and people tuning in. And now with, I don't know if it's AAU, I don't know what it is. Now everybody's shaking each other's hand. Everybody like each other, won't go at each other like really hard. Even that's what happened to the All-Star game, see?
Yeah.
See, the All-Star
carried into the All-Star game. Right there.
See, we hated the East.
Right.
I'm coming to bust you.
Right.
Michael, Isaiah, Dr. J. You can't have one over me. See, I'm coming to get that. Now,
see, Magic, this is what I
let
said.
them score 200 to 200. What is that?
Not because they're always injured, but because they choose to sit. That's the contradiction King pointed straight at. And he wasn't finished. King went after Durant's postseason track record once he left Golden State. Brooklyn was supposed to be Durant's team, his moment to prove he could lead without the Warriors. That run collapsed and he asked out. Phoenix was supposed to be different. Another stacked roster, another fresh start. Same ending. Couldn't even last 3 full seasons before wanting out again. King said it plainly. Durant still hasn't proven he can win without Stephen Curry. All that talent, all those opportunities, and when it's time to be the clear number 1 and carry the weight, the results don't match the reputation. So criticizing Michael Jordan, that's rich. Magic Johnson has always been one of the most respectful voices when it comes to the modern era. He usually gives players the benefit of the doubt. He looks for positives. He tries to connect generations. But even Magic hit his limit, because that podcast moment perfectly backed up what he's been warning about for years, the lack of real edge in today's league. Too much comfort, too much friendliness, too much concern with image instead of dominance. Magic explained how it used to be with the Lakers and Celtics. When he played Larry Bird, it wasn't friendly. It was personal. That tension pushed them to another level. Fans felt it. Every possession mattered. Magic said it himself. He hated Larry and every Celtic during the season. Not fake hate, real hate. And that's what made it special.
Long career, that's the goal, to be in the league for 20 years. I tell you, that's the goal.
Garth Gilmore told me one time, he played for Chicago, he said, if you expect to play a long time in this league, you better quit mopping up the floor. And I thought, well, he's crazy, because that's what basketball is all about.
Bird takes it away from Wilkins, goes to the floor and gets it up ahead.
This rest stuff just drives me crazy. You're playing basketball for a living, okay? I understand if you're working in a coal mine that you may need a rest day after it. You're playing basketball.
Now, players laugh before tip-off, they're friends online, they party together, vacation together, build brands together. What's missing is rivalry. What's missing is tension. What's missing is real competition. And when stars like Durant and LeBron sit around laughing together on podcasts about Michael Jordan's retirement, it just proves Magic's point. That competitive fire isn't there. The edge is gone. The obsession with winning has been replaced by podcasts, branding, and image management. Magic tied it directly to the league's viewership problems. He didn't dance around it. He said, "This is exactly why ratings are sliding. Players need to wake up and understand the fans see through it. When effort feels optional and competition feels staged, people tune out. Fans aren't stupid. They know when players don't care. They know when rivalries aren't real. And they're voting with their remotes, turning games off, skipping broadcasts, and checking out completely. Why invest time or money watching players who clearly don't take it as seriously as the fans do?" Charles Barkley took it even further. For him, this wasn't about one podcast or one joke. This was the symptom of what's slowly hollowing out the league. Barkley said modern stars care more about being liked than being great. More about business than banners, more about brand deals than championships. And he put it in simple terms fans understand it. If you're making $50 million plus a year and deciding you'll only play 2 out of every 3 games, eventually fans are going to ask the obvious question, why should I care if you don't? Tickets cost hundreds of dollars. Fans buy jerseys. They plan their nights, their weekends, their lives around these games. Then the star sits out, not always hurt, just resting or choosing not to play. That's not strategy. That's disrespect.
Guy making 75, 80, 90, God forbid, $100 million a year to play basketball. Right. And the guy says, I'm going to rest tonight. At some point, the fans going to be saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, I've had enough. If this dude don't care about me, and that's the one thing concerns me going forward. Man, we're the luckiest dudes in the world to play basketball. We're the luckiest dudes in the world. If you look at sports landscape, nobody get paid better than basketball players. Nobody.
Kevin's a great player. I think that his legacy is complicated. I don't like any guys who join super teams. I'm biased against LeBron when it comes to comparing him to Michael, joining Dwayne and those guys. Because, when we had this debate, and LeBron's amazing and spectacular, but I was like, Michael didn't join anybody. He just kept getting his ass kicked and got bigger and got stronger and finally knocked the wall down. And, Kevin, who's a great player, other than the fact when he joined the Warriors, he hasn't been successful anywhere else. And I don't hold that against him, but he wants to be considered in that list. He's not on that list. He's a great, great player, but he's not on that list. He wants to be like, wow, he's not in a GOAT conversation, because you're not, plain and simple.
Damn.
You had great success when you joined the Warriors, but not only did you not have success, you actually flamed out in those other places. You got swept last year in the playoffs. You didn't even make the play-in this year.
Barkley also zoomed out to the bigger picture. NBA players are the highest paid athletes in pro sports. The average salary is around $10 million. Many teams have 5 to 7 players making $20 to $25 million a year. Compare that to baseball, where only a handful of players on an entire roster make that kind of money. NBA players play fewer games. They play 3 to 4 times a week, not 6 or 7. They have more off days, more rest, more protection, and still complain about the workload. Barkley connected that mindset directly to Durant and LeBron. They symbolize a generation that thinks showing up is enough, that being around for a long time matters more than dominating when it counts. Longevity over greatness, comfort over pressure, and that's the exact shift fans are rejecting. The idea that playing 20 years while load managing and bouncing between teams somehow beats Michael Jordan playing 13 full seasons and dominating every one of them is backwards. It's not progress, it's disrespect, and fans see it clearly. That's why they're checking out. Shaquille O'Neal came at this from a different angle. For Shaq, it's about toughness, physicality, willingness to take contact and impose your presence. When he looks at today's game, he doesn't see that anymore. He sees players avoiding the paint, settling for step-back threes, and refusing to do the hard work inside. Guys who would rather look smooth than actually dominate. And in Shaq's eyes, Durant and LeBron represent that shift perfectly. Shaq said, if you've got a skilled big man in the post, that's a high percentage shot every time. The problem now isn't the post, it's the players. Too many unskilled guys trying to play inside who don't want contact. They don't want to feel bodies. They don't want to fight for position. They want the easy 3. They want the highlight clip. They want the moment without the punishment. Shaq made another key point that modern basketball keeps ignoring. Analytics are just numbers, and numbers don't account for adrenaline in the playoffs. When everything is on the line, Stats don't decide games. Will does, heart does, toughness does. That's what separates champions from guys who just last a long time. Michael Jordan had that edge. He played through pain that would sideline players today for weeks. He took contact every night and never backed down. Durant and LeBron are built differently, not just physically, but mentally. Durant is nearly 7 feet tall, yet plays like a perimeter guard. He rarely establishes deep position. He doesn't consistently use his size to punish defenders. He floats outside and settles. LeBron has every physical gift imaginable, but he's never been known for taking the toughest defensive assignment every night. He picks moments. He conserves energy. He manages effort. That's not dominance, that's survival, and there's a huge difference between the two. Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, both champions and Hall of Famers. Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce added their voices, and their angle cut even deeper. This wasn't about legacy talk or podcasts. It was about conditioning, preparation, and honesty. They don't believe modern players are actually in elite shape, and the numbers back them up.
Like you mentioned a little bit about today's game, because we had Club on here, and he talked about load management. He said, I don't know what the hell that is. Where is it going? And that's number one. And number two, how do we get it back?
Even for me, I love the NBA game, but then I turn on to a game, right? And then the stars are not playing because of load management. It's hurting the game.
Garnett said it plainly. Today's players think they're in shape until they're around guys who really are. In his era, conditioning wasn't optional. Teams practiced every single day at game speed. Full 5-on-5, contact, intensity, hours at a time. That's how you build a body that can survive 82 games and deep playoff runs. Now, players show up, do 30 minutes with a personal trainer, maybe an hour at half speed, then expect to handle a 2-hour game at full intensity. Garnett said that logic doesn't work. The body breaks down because it was never built for the load. He got specific too. Calf muscles, he explained, are everything. Breaking, exploding, changing direction. Your entire movement base. And modern players barely train them anymore. No calf raises, no boring fundamentals. They skip the unglamorous work that keeps you healthy. Then they wonder why injuries pile up and load management becomes necessary. Pierce backed him up. Guys used to play through injuries that would have today's stars sidelined for weeks. Not because they were reckless, but because they were conditioned for it. That's where the hypocrisy comes in. Garnett and Pierce couldn't ignore Durant and LeBron sitting on that podcast praising longevity like it's some untouchable achievement. Kevin Durant has played all 82 games only 3 times in his career. LeBron James has done it once. One time in over 20 seasons. Now compare that to Michael Jordan. He played full seasons multiple times, logged massive minutes, played through injuries, showed up every night because he respected the fans and the game. The math tells the real story. Durant and LeBron have played a combined 39 seasons, nearly 3 times the length of Jordan's actual career, almost 40 years of professional basketball between them. And yet, the argument is that longevity outweighs dominance. That's where the legends say it falls apart. So what do Durant and LeBron actually have to show for all that longevity? 6 championships total, 5 regular season MVPs combined, 6 finals MVPs, 5 scoring titles, 5 all-defensive selections combined. Now look at Michael Jordan, 13 full seasons, 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, 10 scoring titles, 9 all-defensive first-team selections. In roughly 1/3 of the time, Jordan accomplished more than Durant and LeBron combined. That's not opinion. That's not nostalgia. That's basic math. Twice the time, half the results. That's the real comparison between longevity and greatness. And what made this even worse was the way Durant and LeBron joked about Jordan stepping away to play baseball. They framed it like quitting, like walking away because things got tough. That tells you everything. Michael Jordan didn't step away in 1993 because he lost motivation. He didn't leave because the league figured him out. He didn't leave because basketball got too easy. He stepped away because his father, James Jordan, was tragically killed that summer. The man who pushed him, believed in him, grounded him. Gone. Jordan was at the absolute peak of his powers. 3 straight championships, undisputed best player alive, and he walked away not out of weakness, but grief. He was shattered. He was honoring a shared dream he and his father talked about for years, professional baseball. That context matters. So when Durant casually smirks about some people playing baseball and LeBron laughs along, that's not clever. That's not insight. That's stripping one of the most painful moments of Jordan's life down to a joke. NBA legends weren't letting that slide because they understand sacrifice. They understand context. They understand what greatness actually costs. Let's be clear about when Jordan retired. Not after losing in the first round, not after getting exposed, not after his team collapsed. He retired after winning his third straight championship. A three-peat, something Magic Johnson never did. Something very few players in history have ever touched. That's the difference between stepping away at the top and hanging around hoping the conversation eventually changes. Larry Bird never did it either. LeBron James has never won 3 championships in a row, and he definitely didn't do it while carrying the weight of unimaginable personal loss, all while playing the most dominant basketball the league had ever seen. Now here's the irony nobody can ignore. Who's sitting there throwing shots at Michael Jordan? Kevin Durant. In 2016, after losing to Golden State in the Western Conference Finals, Durant made the most controversial move of his career. Instead of coming back stronger, he joined the very team that eliminated him, a 73-win roster already led by Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. That wasn't taking on a challenge. That was choosing the safest path. After leaving Golden State, the pattern continued. Brooklyn was supposed to be Durant's team, his chance to lead. When it didn't work, he asked out. Phoenix was next. Another loaded roster, another reset, another exit request before 3 full seasons passed. And this is the guy questioning Michael Jordan's resolve. A player who has changed teams repeatedly in search of the best situation, criticizing someone who stepped away at the absolute peak of the sport. Then there's LeBron. When things didn't work in Cleveland the first time, he left for Miami to team up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. When that run faded, he returned to Cleveland. When that situation got uncomfortable after roster changes, he moved on again, this time to Los Angeles. Every major career shift followed adversity. So when Durant and LeBron mock Michael Jordan for stepping away after a three-peat, following a devastating family tragedy, NBA legends saw it clearly for what it was, a stunning lack of perspective and respect. This wasn't about one podcast moment, this was about a deeper cultural issue. The legends weren't just defending Jordan, they were defending the idea that greatness is earned, not explained, that respect comes from sacrifice, not self-promotion. Magic Johnson put it perfectly, in his era, you proved yourself first. Then the endorsements came, then the money followed, then the praise arrived. Today, it's flipped. Players get max contracts based on potential, shoe deals before playoff success, media platforms before real accomplishments, and it creates a mindset where validation comes before achievement. Jordan earned his status, Magic earned his, Bird earned his. The legends aren't saying today's stars aren't talented. They're saying too many want the rewards without paying the same price. And in their eyes, Durant and LeBron represent that shift better than anyone. They got paid first. They got famous first, and then they figured out basketball after, and that's exactly why they need podcasts to explain their greatness, why they keep circling back to Michael Jordan, because deep down, they know the gap is still there. Longevity doesn't equal dominance, and it never will. Playing 20 years while load managing and bouncing between teams will never compare to 13 seasons of total control. Fans feel that difference. The game feels it too. So instead of owning that reality, they try to change the scoreboard. They rewrite the rules. Longevity becomes the new standard. Time served replaces championships, MVPs, and impact. But NBA legends aren't letting that narrative stick. Here's what Michael Jordan understood, and what Durant and LeBron never embraced. Jordan didn't chase longevity, he chased perfection. Every season, every night. The goal was simple: maximize himself, maximize his team, dominate both ends, and win. If that meant a shorter career, so be it. Jordan never played to survive, he played to finish the job. He even said it plainly. If he burned out, he burned out. He wasn't worried about stretching his career to hit milestones. He cared about being the best version of himself when it mattered most. That mentality is exactly why his legacy still stands alone. It's why his name still carries weight decades later. Why networks look to him when they talk about restoring the league's edge. Why his presence still defines greatness, even without saying a word. Jordan doesn't respond to disrespect. He doesn't need to. No podcasts, no comparisons, no explanations. His resume does the talking. 6 championships, a perfect finals record, 10 scoring titles, 5 MVPs, 9 all-defensive first-team selections. The most dominant peak the sport has ever seen. That's the answer. And it's louder than anything Durant or LeBron could ever say. The message from NBA legends is clear. You don't get to rewrite history. You don't get to downplay sacrifice. And you don't get to mock the pain, discipline, and standards set by the greatest player the game has ever known. Here's the truth they can't escape. Longevity doesn't equal greatness. Sticking around longer doesn't make you better than someone who completely dominated. And if you don't respect the game and the legends who built it, the backlash is inevitable, just like what Durant and LeBron are facing right now. Once the legends spoke, social media exploded. Fans didn't hesitate. One post summed it up brutally. One player stepped away from the game during a devastating family tragedy and pursued a childhood dream in his father's honor. Another joined a 73-win team, moved from roster to roster, and later said the goal was simply to play forever, not necessarily to win. Another fan wrote that Jordan stopped in the middle of a three-peat, came back, and still dominated the league. Meanwhile, today's stars can't match even a fraction of that resume. Kevin Durant tried responding online. He brushed it off, saying he'd mentioned Jordan stepping away every day for the rest of his life and dared people to react. That response only made things worse. Every time Durant brings it up, fans remind him of the context he keeps ignoring. The personal loss, the championships, the fact that Jordan walked away at the top and came back to prove it again. And they remind Durant of his own resume. The team changes, the lack of postseason success without Stephen Curry, the constant contradictions. The more he speaks, the clearer the gap becomes. This is what happens when you try to tear down greatness to lift yourself up. It backfires. It exposes insecurity. It tells everyone you know you're not on that level, so you need to lower the bar. Jordan never did that, and Kobe never did that. They respected the players before them. They honored the game's history. They built their legacies by winning, not by debating, joking, or explaining themselves on podcasts. NBA legends just sent a message to the entire league. Respect the history, respect the sacrifice, respect the game, because greatness recognizes greatness. And when you don't measure up, no amount of longevity can hide it. No amount of podcasts can rewrite it. No amount of load management can excuse it. You either dominate or you don't. You either win or you don't. You either show up every night or you don't. And right now, Durant and LeBron are being measured against the standard Michael Jordan set, and coming up short. If you think the legends are right to call this out, hit that like button. If you're tired of players trying to rewrite history, drop a comment. And if you want more real talk about what's happening in basketball, subscribe. This conversation is far from over.